Are you a crocheter? Do you have a scrap yarn stash? Did you know that your skills and your yarn stash could help a person staying in hospital feel more comfortable and cozy? Sound interesting? Stick around and I'll tell you how. Hi, I'm Jody with Meadowbank Crochet. I created Meadowbank Crochet as a charitable organization with the purpose of making and donating beanie hats to people staying in hospital. And so each week, I'm going to update you on my progress of setting up the charity. I'll share the progress of the hats that I created, and I'll talk to you about my yarn plans for the hats that I want to create in the coming week. I'm working to build my beanie hat stash stockpile so that I'm ready to donate those to hospitals as they need them. And so I'll share more about that on today's video. Okay, so let's get in with the business update. So my progress of setting up my charitable organization. The thing that I talked about in last week's video was that I wanted to get better at doing the marketing side of Meadowbank Crochet to try and get more crocheters and knitters aware of Meadowbank Crochet, but also then to get more hospitals on board so that we can donate beanie hats to them. So kind of finding out who needs beanie hats and getting more people involved if they want to help us create the beanie hats. So on the marketing side of things, I wanted to dip my toe in the waters of creating shorts. I'd never done that before. And so I set aside some time last week to record some shorts and get those published on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. So an update on that. I created my first short, which was the pink beanie hat reel that I published on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And I was blown away. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting adventure going into this short universe because I've gotten mixed results. For the pink beanie hat short on YouTube, I got over 1,000 views, 1,200 and some odd views, which was way more than I expected. But on Instagram, I got 264, which again was way more than I expected. And so I looked at some analysis online, and it said one of the things about shorts is that you should do them regularly, like every day or every other day. So I had a blue hat short that I had created, and I published that 2 days later on YouTube and Instagram, and I got the opposite reaction. On YouTube, I only got like 7 views. I think as of today, there's maybe 10 views on that short, but I've actually taken it down on YouTube. But on Instagram, it went up to 480 views. So I don't know. I've decided that rather than every other day, that's maybe too much. I'm going to schedule my shorts to be published once a week. So I publish my YouTube, these vlogs on Tuesdays, and what I'll do is publish my shorts on Wednesdays so that it's sort of back to back that way. I don't know if that's the right approach or not, but I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that for a month and see what kind of results I get. If you're an expert on this, if you've got better feedback for me, please put it in the comment section. Again, I'm publishing this vlog because I'm new at this. I've never created a charity. I've never, done this YouTube stuff, so I'm in massive learning mode, and I love feedback and other people's ideas. So if you're an expert in this, help me, please. But anyway, so that's my plan. That's what I've done. So mixed results on my first 2 shorts that I created. I've got some ideas for different types of shorts, and I'll actually be sharing some of that a little bit later in this video because I've got some hats I need to create to get ready for that short. Anywho, so that's the business side of things. I'm going to continue doing that. My goal for next week is, on the business side of things, is to get a new hospital on board. So at the moment, I've got 2 hospitals that I've donated beanie hats to, and I'd like to get a 3rd hospital on board. And so I'm going to be sending out my marketing material to a new hospital, and hopefully I'll be able to get them on board. So that's it from the business side of things. Let's get into some eye candy and share what I got up to last week in creating my beanie hats. Let me grab the pile here. So, as you can see, I was successful in getting all of the hats that I wanted to. So again, I sort of prep each week for the yarn that I want to use, and I'm try to be ambitious in the amount of hats that I think I'm going to get done. And so far, every week I've achieved my goal of making the hats that I planned to. I really think that this vlog series is kind of pushing me to do the things that I plan to do. So I'm loving it in that regard. So first beanie hat that I completed was this one. Next one, I created 2 from this skein of yarn that I had. So there's this one and this one that came out of that ball of yarn. And I've got enough to make probably a scrap yarn hat, a stripy hat with some that was left over from this. The next one is this guy. The next one was this guy, brown hat. I'm loving that. This is super soft. The next one was I had 2 balls of this cotton yarn, and I was able to make 2 hats out of that. So 2 of these guys. I had this guy here. Now, Yarn Bee is a new yarn for me. I've never used it before, and in all honesty, I didn't like it. The hat that it created is really soft and lovely, so I love the outcome of using this yarn, but it was really splitty. So if you're used to yarn, you know, sometimes when you're crocheting and the yarn is splitting, it's kind of coming apart, fraying. This did that throughout the whole thing. So it was a pain to use, but I love the output of it. The hat is lovely and soft, but not a fan of Yarn Bee, so not really sure I'm going to be buying that again. So then the next few hats that I made were scrap yarn hats. And so there's this one that came out of these balls of yarn. There's this one that came out of these. There's this one that came out of those. And then this one wasn't a scrap yarn, but I had 2 balls of this Unicorn Magic left from the 2 hats that I made with this yarn before. So I was able to make a 3rd one of these. So those are the hats that I was able to create this week. So I'm really happy with that. So next week's hat prepping. What yarn am I planning to use for next week's hats? So I mentioned that I'm looking to create a different kind of short. And one of the questions that I get asked the most is, how do I make my stripy beanie hats using scrap yarn? And so I want to, next week, create a bunch of stripy beanie hats using scrap yarn so that I can create a short showing people kind of the inspiration. If you've got lots of little random bits of yarn, how do you turn that into a beanie hat? So with that in mind, I've got a bunch of scraps that I'm gonna make into beanie hats. Stripy scrap yarn beanie hats take a little bit longer to create than the, just pulling the yarn straight out of the ball or a new skein of yarn. Those are really quick to work up. Scrap yarn beanies take a little bit longer because you're switching the yarn every stripe, and you're sort of having to manage the tangle of balls of yarn. So they're a little bit more of a struggle to make, so they're a little bit slower. But again, the stripy beanie hats tend to be the ones that the hospitals go through the quickest, because people really seem to like the stripy beanie hats. So I'm going to make a bunch of them this week. The first one that I'm going to do are these green balls of yarn. I'm keeping them in these bags so that I've got them wrangled and easy to find. So the first one I'm going to make is with these green balls of yarn. The next one is with these sort of gray, and this one has a little bit more color to it, but sort of gray balls of yarn that I'm going to make into a stripy beanie hat. I've then got sort of these teal colors that I'm going to make into a beanie hat. And again, you'll see these are just tiny little scrap balls of yarn that when you stripe a hat, it really uses these up amazingly and makes a really nice beanie hat. The next one is a brightly colored one. So I've got this amazing rainbowy color of yarn that was left over from a hat that I made. And so I'm going to pair this rainbow with all these lovely yellows and oranges and make a stripy beanie hat out of that. The final stripy hat that I want to make is, again, sort of a teal colors. I've got this teal and these this cotton, so I'm going to combine these to make another stripy beanie hat. So those are my stripy beanie hat plans. I've then got, if I get those done, which I think I will, and if I have time left, I've then got some of this sort of black gray color that I'm going to make into a beanie hat. So I've got that one that I'll use. I've got this one that for some reason came like this. I didn't do this. It was delivered to me like this. But I'm going to make this into a beanie hat. I've got this guy. I thought a nice bright red would be fun to add into the options that I have of completed beanie hats. So I'll make that one. And then I've got this, which again will also make a beanie hat. And then there will be some left over to include that into a stripy one, but I'll just make this into a beanie hat for the time being if I have time. That's pretty ambitious. So those are my hat prep plans. We'll see how far I get, and I will update you next week on how I do getting those done. And then hopefully that'll make a new short with how to turn scraps into useful beanie hats. So the other thing I mentioned, I want to start prepping for a new hospital to donate hats to. So when I donate hats to hospitals, I like to give them 40 hats just so that they've got a nice stash of hats to give out to their patients, and there's a nice variety and choice for the patients to pick from. And in addition, when I make the hats, there's of course this leather tag that I put on all of the hats that says Meadowbank Crochet. But on top of that, when I get the hats ready to donate to the hospital, I actually put this hang tag on there. So it's just tied onto the leather tag underneath it with a little yarn bow. And these are the new tags that I've recently just updated with the new Meadowbank Crochet logo on it. And then the hat, the tag says "A gift for you." because again, the intention is that these are donated to the hospitals and given to the patients for free. There's no need for them to pay anything for this beanie hat. The intention is that it's just a gift for them that hopefully is going to make them a little bit more comfortable and cozy while they're staying in the hospital, or maybe they're going through chemo treatment. Often after cold cap therapy, they need to put a hat on their head so that they don't touch their head after cold cap therapy. And so giving the hospitals a stash of these beanies that they've got on hand in case the patient forgets to bring a hat with them is also just a useful thing. And again, the intention is that that doesn't cost the patient anything. They get this hat for free. And in this little hang tag, if they open it up, there's a little bit of information on Meadowbank Crochet. So it just directs them to my website so they can go find out more about Meadowbank Crochet. And then if they want to get involved and either donate, or if they themselves are a maker and they want to get involved and help us create beanie hats, there's information there for them to do that. So my plan for next week is to get 40 of my completed hats ready to go, ready for donation. Before I donate a hat, I lint roll it really well on the inside and the outside. I then put this hang tag on, and then I put these into bags ready to be donated to the hospital. So I'm going to get 40 of these ready for next week, hopefully with a new hospital on board to donate these to. And so those are my plans for next week. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your support. Just your watching this video is helping. If you could subscribe to the channel, I would absolutely be grateful. That's going to help us expand the people who maybe see the information about this channel through the YouTube algorithm. The whole intention is to try and get more people aware of Meadowbank Crochet. And the goal of this is, of course, a nonprofit charitable organization. So eventually, if I'm able to grow this YouTube channel and eventually, years from now, get monetized, the goal is that any money that I make through donations or through YouTube revenue in the future, 100% of all of that gets immediately paid into buying yarn so that we can make beanie hats. I do not pay myself a wage from any of this. I never will. I don't make any profit off of this. 100% of anything that comes in to Meadowbank Crochet gets given and donated to the patients staying in hospitals by making beanie hats for them. That's the whole goal of this. So even just your watching this is helping us. If you know a maker that you think might be interested in this cause and maybe want to get involved making beanie hats, or just crochet along to my videos as I'm updating you on my progress, please share this information with them. I would love that. With that, do all those YouTubey things. And with that, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week. Bye.